I think that I think a flat tax, particularly a sales tax, would just be a far better, far fairer way to collect taxes. I think taxes are too high, but I don't think that taxes are too high because of. I think taxes are too high because, for example, even in the state, you know, we're talking about gambling now to raise revenue because we need revenues instead of talking about why we need those revenues. And I'm tired of that. Well, we must let the school teachers go or the firemen go. You know, the fear mongering that comes, you know, in the public and where cuts need to be made. I just think there needs to be some common sense.
What about health care? If you had been a congressman down in Washington, would you have voted for health care?
The bill that was passed?
The bill that was passed.
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, if elected, I would work in any way that I possibly could as a freshman congressman to support repealing that bill. That said, I am so disappointed that for the time they spent, they came up with legislation that not only does nothing, if little, to help health care coverage in this country, which is where the real issue is. This country has the greatest health care in the world. And there's no doubt about it. But health care coverage, that's an argument. I think I would have liked to have seen the cost of a healthcare education. I'm not talking about doctors. I'm talking about nurses, even folks in the technical field that, you know, that support the infrastructure. Let's provide more healthcare folks through affordable education. There are a lot of bright people out there that would make great doctors and nurses, but the cost of entry to that is just too prohibitive. And then the debt that they graduate with.
Right. What about the bureaucratic cost of actually getting services as a patient? If you're going to get whatever service you need, you know, it costs so much money for the general person who needs that health care.
I've been blessed. I have health care, significant deductibles. So I couldn't speak. I have problems. I have to get in line with everybody else, but I've been with the same doctor for 20 years and I'm so blessed. What I'd like to see is somebody have access to that same kind of health care. And I think it comes from consistent coverage. I think when you jump from policy to policy, and today we live in an economy in a world where folks change jobs. And so I think ways of carrying, and COBRA's good, but ways of carrying policies. The other thing that I would like to see is some more regulation and some deregulation. I would like to see a big cost of healthcare today. It is about the cost. Is about tort reform. You know, sure, people should be held accountable for mistakes, but we've got the nuisance no-fault things that it's an industry in itself. I think that the drug companies that develop drugs are the ones that are making the significant investments, taking the risk, and should reap the rewards. But maybe when the rewards have come out, that maybe there's a program that then, and only then, if one succeeds successfully, that some of that money could be taxed and go directly to providing health care for those who can't afford it.
Do you think part of the issue, too, is that we're focused so much on what happens after you get sick and not as much focus is placed on preventing illness? I
think we do a better job of getting that out. I think all of us know that every time we eat a cheeseburger or a fry, it's not good for us. Remember when we used to enjoy those? You're way too young. You know?
Well, I'm vegan too, so I don't eat any of that.
Well, listen, there was
the French fries, yes. The burger, no.
There you go. Okay, but I mean, even fried tomatoes, right? I mean, so you know, nothing like some jalapeno poppers. You know, I think we're doing a good job with education. I don't think we can mandate and regulate people's choice. I don't think we should regulate the policies, but I do believe that healthcare costs could be controlled and reduced by providing actually earlier treatment too, you know, earlier signs and recognizing. Statistically, I was surprised to find that most people die of their first heart attack. But yet we live in a day and age where we know what causes heart attacks. Right. I get my physical every year, you know. So regarding that kind of goes back to the first thing I was saying, is if we can provide more healthcare folks in the industry, you know, then doctors don't have to work 90 hours a week, okay, and they can still make a decent living, a good living, but let the market, just like it does with those French fries, determine how much they cost and the availability. I think the other thing too is there needs to be competition on some testing. There's some folks down in Hanover who open ambulatory healthcare facilities, and I sat through one of their presentations on how they can provide outpatient services for the 1/10 of the cost of a hospital. Now, it's not fair to compare them apple for apples because there are some differences, but things like that, the ability to, you know, to go to get a bag of fries and then an X-ray and an MRI, you know.
I want to talk briefly about the jobs and the economy and what you would do if you're elected to kind of help spur the economy so that people can get back to work.
Well, all I can tell you is how I believe what creates jobs. Okay, we send a lot of jobs out of the country because of the cost of doing business here. Small businesses are stifled by the cost of entry to do business today. We have the second highest corporate taxes in the world. So certainly reducing the taxes and incentivizing people to open private businesses.
And we should add that the healthcare costs to ensure your employees.
And healthcare cost is a big cost, and it is a big burden for companies. And so, stating earlier about pooling and other policies, but actually creating jobs and growing businesses, we need to get off the back of the businessmen. You know, when I was in business, there were so many times when the government was an obstacle. And there were other times where they were my friend, you know, and they were right there for me. And it was unfortunate that I didn't know of all the services that were available, and it was unfortunate when I didn't necessarily know the things that I was supposed to do.
Right.
That said, I believe that we need to reduce the size of government too. Government should not be the #1 industry in this company. It needs to get out of business. I don't think the bailouts saved any jobs, and are absolutely, quite frankly, un-American.
All right, wrapping up.
Yes.
Why should people vote for you on September 14th?
Well, because they believe me. People should vote for me because I'm like you. I'm like the many thousands of people who live in the district who know what it's like to struggle. Many times in my life, I've lived paycheck to paycheck. People are good. We are good, and we're better and smarter than those in Washington think we are. And I will try to remember that every day I'm there. And if you feel like I'm forgetting it after you sent me, call me. And that you can find me, by the way, at voteforvernon.com.
All right, Vernon, thank you so much for being here today. We wish you luck on September 14th. And we'll be right back with Keith Lepore.